Alright, so 6.4 is rational expressions. It's basically putting together everything that we've done in this unit and solving for an equation. So it says a rational equation is an equation containing at least one rational expression. Remember, when working with an equation, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. That's nothing new. That's what you've been doing since grade 7 or 8. So it says steps to solving rational equations. Factor each denominator if possible. Identify any non-permissible values and do this throughout. So what that means is if you're doing a division question, then you make sure you do it for the denominator before you divide, and then you do it for the denominator after you multiply by the reciprocal, or you do that flip. Multiply both sides of the equation by the lowest common denominator in order to eliminate the fraction. So this is kind of like what we did in Complete the Square, where we would divide by the number that's in front, divide the whole equation by the number that's in front to get rid of it, and then you're not working with big numbers, or in this case, fractions. Solve the equation and check your solutions. So example number 1. To solve, first, I factor the denominator if possible. Well, these ones can't be factored. Identify any non-permissible values. So first of all, for this one, I have an NPV. There's only one variable down there, and that's an x. So that means my restriction is x is not equal to 0. So then what I want to do is I want to multiply both sides by the lowest common denominator in order to get rid of the denominator. So for my lowest common denominator, just like we did with the addition and subtraction, line them up. Whatever is in common, then you don't have to multiply. So my first one had a denominator of 4, the second one had a denominator of x, and the third one here has a denominator of 1, so we don't even really worry about that. So my lowest common denominator will be 4x. So step 3 there says, let's multiply both sides by that lowest common, or everything, by that 4x. So this is my step 3 here. My step 2 was the non-permissible values. So if I multiply 4x times x over 4, my 4 and my 4 will cancel, so I'm left with is x times x. So that's going to be x squared. 4x times 6 will be 24x over x, so that leaves me with 24. And then 3.5 times 4x will leave me with 14x. So what I've done is I've multiplied this by 4x, I've multiplied this by 4x, and I've multiplied that by 4x. And by using the lowest common denominator, I can eliminate my fractions. So then the next step is to solve for the equation. So depending on what is your degree of the equation will depend on what you have to do. This one has a degree of 2, so I'm either going to have to be factoring or using quadratic formula in order to solve. So I'm going to bring everything over to one side. So I have x squared. I'm going to subtract that 14x. And I have plus 24 equals 0. So then I have to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to do a product and sum? Probably. So something times something equals positive 24 and adds to equal negative 14. So that's negative 12 and 2. So this is x minus 12, and x minus 2 is equal to 0. So this still is all part of step 4. So now I take both of my factors, put them equal to 0. So x minus 12 is equal to 0. X minus 2 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 12, and x is equal to 2. And then you do a check of your solution to make sure it's not extraneous. So I do my left side. I'm going to do this over here. My left side of the equation was 12 over 4 plus 6 over 12, and my right side was 3.5. So 12 over 4 is 3. 6 over 12 is 0.5. So this is 3.5, so that works. So then you have to try it for the second solution. So I have 2 over 4 plus 6 over 2, and that needs to equal 3.5. So I have 0.5 plus 3, 3.5, that works. So my solution is 2 and 12, and my restrictions are x cannot equal 0. Okay, next one. I have 9 divided by y minus 3 minus 4 divided by y over 6 is equal to 18 divided by y squared minus 9y plus 18. So step number 1 is to factor my denominator. So if I look at my first one here, I have y minus 9 over y minus 3. I can't do anything with that. Minus 4 over y minus 6, that is factored. My denominator there, I can factor. So y squared minus 9y plus 18, my factors are a product of and sum of y minus 6 and y minus 3. So if I do my restrictions here, I have y can't equal y minus 3, so that's, it won't equal 3, y minus 6, so it can't equal 6. This is just a repeat, so I don't have to worry about finding anything else. So now my step 2 is to, or sorry, I guess step 3 is to multiply both sides of the equation by the lowest common denominator. So if I look, I had a y minus 3 for my first one, a y minus 6, and then my other one had a y minus 3 and a y minus 6. So that means my lowest common denominator is y minus 3 times y minus 6. So for this, then I have to multiply everything through by this. So that means for the first one here, I'll have to multiply by y minus 3 over y minus 6. I have to multiply my 4 by y minus 3 times y minus 6. And I have to multiply my 18 by y minus 3 times y minus 6. So what happens then is here, my y minus 3 and my y minus 3 cancel. For this one, the second one, my y minus 6 and my y minus 6 cancel. And then for the right side of the equation, y minus 6 will cancel with y minus 6, y minus 3 with y minus 3. So what I'm left with then is, on this one I have 9 times y minus 6 minus 4 times y minus 3 is equal to 18. So I continue solving. 9y minus 54 minus 4y plus 12 is equal to 18. So to solve, I need to bring everything over, so I subtract 18. And then I'm going to collect like terms. So my 9y minus 4y leaves me with a 5y. Minus 54 minus 18 is minus 72 plus 12 is 60. So now this one, because it's just a power of 1, I'm just going to solve for y. So y is equal to 12. I do my check. So my left side is 9 over 12 minus 3 minus 4 over 12 minus 6 is equal to 18 over 12 squared minus 9 times 12 plus 18. And that shouldn't be an equal sign there, so just put the bar. So I have 9 over 9 is a 1 minus 4 over 12 minus 6 is 6. So I'll leave that as a 2/3. So 1 minus 2/3 is 1/3. If I check this side, I have 18 over 144 minus 108 plus 18. So that is equal to 18 over 54, which reduces to 1/3. So this is my solution set. That is my restriction. Okay, next example. 3x over x plus 2 or minus 5 over x minus 3 is equal to negative 25 times x squared minus x minus 6. So first thing I need to do is my factoring. So the first one, nothing to do with 3x over x plus 2. Minus 5 over x minus 3, can't do anything with that, equals negative 25 over x squared minus x minus 3, here minus 6 is x minus 3 times x plus 2. So now I can do my restrictions. I have x plus 2, so x is not equal to negative 2, x minus 3, so that's a positive 3, and it's a repeat there, so that's all I have for now. So now my lowest common denominator. My first denominator was an x plus 2, my second was an x minus 3, and the third was x minus 3 times x plus 2. So I've lined all those up, so my lowest common denominator will be x plus 2 times x minus 3. So again, then I take that lowest common denominator and I multiply it to each of these terms. So I'm going to multiply, and I'll just write it above here. 3x times x plus 2 times x minus 3. I'll multiply 5 times x plus 2 times x minus 3, and then my negative 25 times x plus 2 times x minus 3. Then the whole point of doing this is to get rid of my denominator. So x plus 2 and x plus 2 will cancel. X minus 3 and x minus 3, x minus 3 and x minus 3, and then x plus 2 and x plus 2. So what I'm left with then is 3x times x minus 3, whoops, minus, I don't need a bracket there, minus 5 times x plus 2, and then there everything else canceled, so I'm just left with a negative 25. So I have 3x squared minus 9x minus 5x minus 10 is equal to negative 25. So all I did was distribute here. And remember, this 5 has that negative with it, so I have to make sure I multiply by a negative 5. So since I have a power of 2, I'll bring my 25 over. So I have 3x squared minus 14x minus 15 equals 0. I'm just going to move my page up here. So from there, I have a 3 in front of here, so I can't use product and sum, but I can slide and divide. So I'm going to have x squared minus 14x, and when I slide over that 3 times negative 15 is negative 45. So I need a product of negative 45 and a sum of negative 14. What works for that? Nope, I made a mistake here. It shouldn't be a negative 45. It should be a positive 45. This should be a positive 15. Whoop. My markers. There we go. Negative 10 plus 25 should be a positive 15. So my factors then are going to be x minus 9 and x minus 5. So now that I've done that, I have to do the divide. So I divide this side by 3, this side by 3. So I have x minus 3. I can't have a denominator, so this becomes 3x minus 5. So those are my factors. X minus 3 times 3x minus 5 is equal to 0. So that means I have x is equal to 3, and this one will be x is equal to 5/3. Okay, so then I have to do my check. So x is equal to 3. I have 3 times 3 over 3 plus 2 minus 5 times 3 minus 3 is equal to negative 25, and that shouldn't be an equal sign, should be a bar, over 3 squared minus 3 minus 6. So I have 9 over 5 minus 5 over 0. Now as soon as I get to that point there, I see that I have 5 divided by 0. As soon as I have that, I know that there is no solution. So that means that x is equal to 3 is an extraneous root, and I throw it out. So I don't even have to go any further and solve. I know that right from there. So for my other one, I have 3 times 5 over 3 over 5 over 3 plus 2 minus 5 over 5 over 3 minus 3. So I have here, this is just going to be a 5 because my 3 and my 3 will cancel, over 5/3 plus 2. So this is the same as saying 6 over 3. Let's write that here. 2 is the same as 6 over 3. So I have 5/3 plus 6/3, so that's 11/3. Minus, I didn't put my bar there, 5 over 5/3 minus 3. So 3 with a common denominator of 3 will be 9 over 3. So I have 5/3 minus 9/3, so that's going to be a negative 4/3. So to continue with my check, so this is 5 divided by 11/3, which is the same as saying 5 times 3 over 11 minus 5 times, or 5 divided by negative 4 over 3. So that's like saying 5 times negative 3 over 4. So 5 over 3 would be 15 over 11 minus 15 over 4. Lowest common denominator will be a 44, so if I multiply top and bottom by 4 over 4, and this side I multiply by 11 over 11, I have 15 times 4 is 60 over 44 plus 165 over 44. So this is 225 over 44. Now it looks like a messy number, but it still could possibly work. So if I try the other side, I'm substituting in a 5/3. So I have negative 25 over 5/3 squared minus 5/3 minus 6. So I have negative 25 over 25 over 9. Remember, you square top and bottom. And I might as well change these, since these have a denominator of 9 here. 5/3 denominator of 9 means I'm going to multiply by 3, so minus 15 over 9. Negative 6 with a denominator of 9, if I multiply that by 9, will be a negative 54. So I have negative 25 over 25 minus 15 is negative 40 minus 54. Sorry, 25 minus 15 is 10. Minus 54 is a negative 44 over 9. So if I multiply by the reciprocal, so this is times negative 9 over 44. Negative 25 times 9, negative 9, is a positive 225 over 44. So even though it was a really ugly number, it is the right solution. So that means my solution set for this is x is equal to 5/3, and my restrictions were x not equal to negative 2 and 3. Okay, a little bit of problem solving. Oh, this extraneous solution went with that other one. So we threw out that x is equal to 3. So when a solution is the same as a non-permissible value, the solution is not valid and is called extraneous. So before we even went and did our check, I should turn back there. Before we even went to do our check, if we had, what you can do is if you notice that one of your solutions, so in this case this x is equal to 3, is the same as a non-permissible value, then without even doing a check, you know it's an extraneous root. Save yourself some time. Word problem. Stella takes 4 hours to paint a room. It takes Jose 3 hours to paint the same area. How long will it take? How long will the paint job take if they work together? So this is a problem solving. We need a let statement. For some, you're going to need diagrams, and you're going to need a sentence. So what we're going to do is we're going to say let x equal the time in hours it will take for both Stella and Jose to paint together. Okay, so then if you set it up, and you don't necessarily have to do a chart, but it works better to do a chart, and then you can line your items up. So we know that the time to paint in hours for Stella was 4 hours. For Jose it was 3. For them to do it together, we said that equaled x. So in 1 hour then, they would, in 1 hour out of 4, that's how much work they would get done, a quarter of it. If we're looking at the fraction of work done in 1 hour for Jose, he'd have a third of it done. For them to do it together, they would have 1/x of it done. So if we take a look at the fraction of work that they've done in x hours, so if we don't know the number of hours that they're using, whatever that is, it's going to take her 1/4 of x to get it done. It's going to take, so if we want to know, say, to get 2/3 of the job done, or half of the job done, or whatever. So 1/3 hours times x. And then this one will be 1x, which that should be an x, times x, which is just x over x, so it just equals 1. And if you think about that, if they're doing them together, then that's one whole job. So they're finishing the whole job. So the equation for them to get their work done together is she's doing the work at 1/4 of the rate, he's doing it at 1/3 of the rate, so together they will do the whole job. So I have 1/4 x is the same as saying x over 4. A third x is the same as saying x over 3. And they're doing the whole job. So this part here, the fraction of the work done in the number of hours, will tell us how much they do together. Okay, so this is no different than the equations we were working on. There's no non-permissible values because we have no variables in the bottom. We have a 4 and a 3, so our lowest common denominator is going to be 12. So what that means is I multiply each one of these by 12. So I multiply this by 12, I multiply this side by 12, and I multiply this by 12. So 12x over 4 will be 3x. 12x divided by 3 will be 4x, and that is going to equal 12. So I have 7x is equal to 12. Divide by 7. So x is equal to 12 over 7 hours, which is just a little under 2 hours. So you can do a check. So I have 12 over 7 divided by 4 plus 12 over 7 divided by 3 is equal to 1. So this is 12 over 7 times, if it's a 4, divide by 4, so I'm multiplying by 1/4, plus 12 over 7, if I divide by 3, I multiply by a third. So I have 3/7 plus 4, so that leaves me with 4 over 7 equals 1, so 1 is equal to 1. So it will take them, and 12 over 7 is the same as saying 1 and 5/7. To paint the room together. Okay, so for this part of the lesson that I want you to have done, I'm going to stop there. And you can work on questions here at the bottom. Work on these questions here. You need to have those questions completed for tomorrow.